The thing they say about firefighters anywhere is that they will always be there for each other.
If we could just get out of the truck safely, that would be awesome for us right now.
We can get home without being exhausted.
Peter Anderson and Mike Berg are retired now. 20 years ago, they reported here to Lake George Work Center in southern Park County to lead the Type 3 response team against what they thought was a small forest fire.
That was our 5th or 6th fire in 6 weeks. We were beat. We were tired.
Mike was deputy incident commander. Peter served as planning section chief.
You know, the interesting thing about that fire was the wind was almost directly out of the south.
It was.
This small fire garnered few resources and barely any attention at first.
Yeah, there was no media. It was bizarre.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
They say that small fire did something they've never experienced.
From 6:30 in the morning till 9:30, we're talking big changes.
The big surprise for us was just how quick it went. Nobody had a clue. I mean, at that point, I don't think anybody had ever seen that much growth. 67,000 acres by midnight.
Fire movement's been about 150 to 175 yards in the last hour.
The Hayman Fire exploded to 105 square miles in a day.
And a fire that had spotted at the bottom of that hill ate the hill, and that hill was probably the size of the Hogback by Red Rocks, easily one of those hills, and it was gone in 30 seconds.
It's perfect burning conditions. Wind's coming up, very dry.
Our job was to go in there and get everybody out of its way.
We could see from Lake George 3 complete, probably 35,000 foot high columns of fire, of smoke.
And when it collapsed, it finally got too heavy for it to hold itself up. When it collapsed, the temperature dropped, went from 85 degrees to 65 degrees in 20 seconds.
High above the treetops, engulfing tree after tree.
The flames got so big, they said they couldn't do anything to stop it.
We could have had 3,000 firefighters standing in front of that fire, and all we would have had is 3,000 more people that needed to get out of the way.
We do have some structures that have burned. We believe this is the Flying G Ranch Girl Scout camp.
132 homes destroyed, but more importantly, 6 people died. 1 neighbor suffered an asthma attack triggered by the smoke, and 5 firefighters were killed in a car accident while responding. The Hayman Fire was the largest in Colorado history at the time, at more than 215 square miles.
I felt exceptionally powerless because of the inertia of that event. The fact that a whole bunch of people didn't die on that fire is remarkable.
We didn't know that what saved probably the southwest part of Denver was a fire we had earlier, the Schoonover Fire.
The Hayman ran out of fuel, burning into an area already burned.
If it would have just moved that way, that far at this point of inception, it would have eaten Evergreen. It would have eaten all those areas.
Now, 20 years later, they see Colorado making the same mistakes with the continued building of mountain homes made of wood.
So you get construction types over here, you get an increased population here, you get forest health over here, you get people that may or may not decide to mitigate their house, that all have the expectations that the fire department's going to put it out. I'm just sorry to tell you that that's probably not going to happen.
Mike and Peter just want to watch out for the next generation of firefighters, because that's what they do.
We need to begin thinking differently in order to make this houses salvageable, people safe, all those things.
With photojournalist Tom Cole, Nelson Garcia, 9 News.
A former Forest Service technician was convicted of arson for starting the Hayman Fire. It is now the 4th largest wildfire in state history. The top 3 all happened in 2020. Mike and Peter say megafires like the Hayman are now becoming the norm instead of the exception.